On this week's episode of the Nerf Report, EA just canceled their upcoming Black Panther video game. CD Projekt Red gives us our first tease for Cyberpunk 2. Mind's Eye debuts a brand new gameplay trailer filled with tons of real-world conspiracy theories that we've got to talk about. All of this and a whole bunch of nonsense on this week's episode of the Nerf Report.
Are you listening?
Strangers from distant lands and friends of old, you've been summoned to another episode of the Nerf Report. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. This is our comeback episode. Yeah, in case you missed it, we have been absent for the past couple weeks. We took 2 weeks off just to kind of reinvigorate our lives, and you know, talking about video games is tough. I know there's people out there that be like, I could talk about video games every day. Try it. It is a drain on the mind. And you know, for those of you that aren't aware, this show is 100% Uno Mas produced, right? I do it all by myself. Uno Mas means one more, but it's basically just me. It's me. I do the writing, I do the editing, I do the hosting, I do the SEO, I do all the stuff on the back end, and you know, everything's changing every single week that, oh, your thumbnails need to look like this, or oh, your production needs to look like this. Why aren't you doing shorts? So that's just super draining. So I appreciate y'all's patience over the last 2 weeks because I desperately needed some time off, and we had a good time. You know, it was kind of still working with the normal job, but that job gave me the liberty of traveling overseas. I got to go to the United Kingdom, or at least the airport, Heathrow. Shout out, they've got really bomb fish and chips at the airport. They also put lemon in their Pepsi Zero, which never really thought of, but it's delicious. Then we flew to Germany. I spent the week over in Cologne, had a killer time over there. I got to see the Dom, which is like this giant cathedral that took like over 600 years to build. Incredibly well done. And I look at it, I'm like, you never could find anything like this in America. Like, it's so beautiful. From Cologne, we took a bus and we went all the way over to Austria, hung out in Dornbirn. Had some really great time over there, but I also got to go over to Lindau, which is this beautiful little island area that felt like I was on Naboo, and I just fell in love. Germany, Austria, it's a great area. And then the final country, we flew out of Switzerland. It's coming home to the States, but we are home. We are in the studio. We are back just in time to talk about video games. The Switch 2 is launching this week. Oh my God. If you got your pre-order in, I hope you're excited. June 5th is quickly approaching. I, for one, don't have a Switch 2 coming. Nintendo, if you'd like to fix that. I know I'm the bad boy of Nintendo right now. I know you guys aren't happy with me, but, you know, I definitely would love to get one. Other big news, we got the Summer Games Fest, which we are in the process of finalizing the details here, but Nerf Gaming News live during Summer Games Fest. We are trying everything we can to make sure the studio's up and running. We got to dust some cobwebs off, get some things going. We learned a lot from the Switch 2 reveal, and going into this, I think my wife and I were going to try to jump in the studio, figure out how we can host this, but with the summer days approaching, the studio does get hot. In fact, the temperature right now in the studio, looking at it, is 95 degrees. Holy hell, it is hot. But anyway, enough from me. Shout out to all of those of you listening in the audio podcast world. Welcome back to your eardrums. I hope my voice is welcomed and you're enjoying me tickling your eardrums and whatever canals you got going on in there. But yes, the Nerf Report is available right now on Apple and Spotify podcast. And if you don't like this show being so long, you're like, I don't have time to watch a show about video games for 30 minutes. Great news. This show gets broken down into short format, so it's posted onto YouTube Shorts and to TikTok. Definitely follow us there. If you haven't done so already, follow us on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, Jib Jab, TikTok, YouTube. Hit those subscribe buttons. Share them with your grandma because we are back and we are taking over the world of gaming one episode at a time. Now, jumping into the games that released this week, let's pull up the graph. Obviously, nothing came out on Monday because gamers and developers hate Mondays. I do still say if video games came out on Monday, I feel like we would all be talking about Monday a little differently. Case of the Mondays would be different, you know. God of War 4 comes out on Monday. Hey, I got a case of the Mondays, but in a good way. But anyway, this week, Tuesday, May 27th, 3 video games. Oddsparks and Automation Adventures. Looks like a super dope game. Cosme, Forbidden Forest, Cattle Country. Both of those came out on Tuesday as well. Jumping over to Wednesday, we had Tua T, Pispatrello, and the Cursed Yo-Yo. Oh man, that sounds like a trippy-ass game. Thursday, May 29th, Spray Paint Simulator. I love that we're getting into this place in the world of gaming where it's like everything's becoming a simulator. It's like, why go out into the real world and do anything at all? Why go mow your lawn when you can play Lawnmower Simulator? Why go graffiti something like a set or a wall or paint something in your house? Why not pay $10 and play spray paint? It's just such an interesting world that we're living in right now. We also got Scar Lead Salvation, Nice Day for Fishing, which is every day of the week. Fuga, Melodies of Steel, and Copycats. All those games released on Thursday, May 29th, leading us to Friday, May 30th, when the fastest game in the world of video games came out. F1 25 is now available. Definitely check that out. I'm a big fan of F1. The races come here to Austin. Went the first time. Fell in love. The F1 series on Netflix. Chef kiss. Definitely, if you're a fan of the series, check out this game because this is the premier F1 racing video game of the world of gaming. Period. Sorry, I was just taking my marketing hat off right there. It's like, how much more can we make this game sound awesome? Also on Friday, May 30th, Elden Ring Night Rain came out, which I think a lot of people were expecting this to be game of the year. But some of the reviews that have been coming out have been mixed. They're like, yeah, it's just Elden Ring multiplayer. It's kind of what we expected, and I was expecting this to be like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, but a lot of people giving it like 6 and 7s, which isn't bad. God forbid someone in the comment section be like, what, a 6 is bad? No, stop. No, but anyway, Elden Ring Night Rain, the new multiplayer DLC, is now available. And then the final game to launch this week was Disney Illusion Island, starring Mickey and Friends. Now, this game did launch previously, but it's coming to new platforms. So congratulations to all of those of you who got those games this week. Now, let me know in the comment section what you're playing this week. Did you pick up any of these games? Did I miss anything? As always, I'm very interested to hear in what you're playing. I played Call of Duty Warzone Casual Mode. And I've got a theory, and this is just a theory. I'm not trying to call out Activision. I am convinced that the live streamers of the world have had access to this casual mode for decades now. Because when I play like Call of Duty Warzone normally, I get like 3 to 4 kills. And then I'll watch someone like Dr. Disrespect, Z-Laner, or Lupo, or any of these other guys jump into like Warzone, and it's like 24, 36, 48. And I'm like, holy hell, I suck at this game, but these guys are great. I jump into casual mode. Look, if this existed, and I could pull the flags and like pull the drapes over everybody and confuse them, I could have been the best live streamer in the world. I kid you not. I don't know if I have the graphic, but we'll try to put it in post. But like, I got 30 kills. My team had 80 kills, 80 eliminations in one round. Now there's like 140 players. We knocked out like 80 of them. We were gods. And that's why I am convinced that as a mediocre player jumping into like the casual modes, the live streamers have definitely had access to this for way too long. Because unless the live streamers are cheating, there is absolutely no way that they were getting that many kills. But maybe I just suck. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I got to play against bots to be good, and they got to play against real players, and that just shows you the difference. But anyway, obviously, big week of the world of gaming. The Nintendo Switch 2s are in the wild. June 5th is quickly approaching, and everyone seems to be super hyped to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch 2s. A lot of people are getting their pre-orders canceled, and I think a lot of people are concerned. Big one came out was Game. Game was like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have enough allotment to fulfill your pre-orders. Canceled. And then all these people were like, oh, I'm getting the Switch 2 in a couple of days. Spoiler alert, Game comes in and they're like, no, sorry. We sold too many. You're not getting your pre-order. Probably the worst news you could get as a fan of Nintendo. I think of some worse news that I could get, like, hey, you're getting drafted into the army, or hey, video games are never going to exist anymore, or hey, we sent you back in time, and now you got to fight in the Revolutionary War. Those are some worse news for me. But obviously, if you're a fan of Nintendo, getting your Switch 2 pre-order canceled is sucks. But I do think it's funny that some of these retailers are starting to pre-send the Switch 2s out to people accidentally. Like, gamers are getting the Switch 2s in the wild, and the way the internet works, everybody immediately just runs to their phone and like, I gotta film it! I gotta show that I've got the Switch 2! And then, like, Nintendo's like, oh, no. There's an update we all need to take that you gotta put on this console before it even goes live, which is interesting. Because I don't know if I've heard about this before, that when the Nintendo Switch 2 arrives, there's a designated update that you have to do, which is normal, right? PlayStation 5, I believe all of these consoles have had it. But, like, unless you do this update, the Nintendo Switch 2, to my knowledge, doesn't do anything. So hopefully you got some Wi-Fi. Hopefully you go to a public library. Hopefully you get that all taken care of. But I do want to take a second to shout out anyone who is getting the Switch 2 this week. I hope you have a blast. I hope you thoroughly enjoy it. And I hope it's worth every single penny that you spent on that thing. But moving on to the next story, we have to talk about EA announcing brand new layoffs and shutting down one of the craziest games I've ever heard, the Black Panther video game, because this week it was announced that EA has canceled the Black Panther video game and is shutting down Cliffhanger Studios. Now, there's a lot of areas we could take this, right? Like EA, along with the rest of the video game industry, they're in a world of hurt right now. I think everybody's trying to like pinch their pennies and try to cut costs because we are not in the COVID bubble anymore where everybody's at home and everybody has just a ton of money to spend on video games and time to spend on video games. I think gamers are limited on what they're going to play. And I think you see a lot of people gravitating to the Fortnites of the world, people gravitating to the Marvel Rivals of the world, the games that require no money up front, but they're fun. They're easy to play. So these developers trying to sell big, massive games are struggling to get their return on investment. Now, according to EA, they claim that this layoff and this shutdown was in order to sharpen their focus and put their creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities for the studio. And in case you didn't know anything about this game, this Black Panther video game was first confirmed back in 2023. The game was being led up by Kevin Stevens of Monolith, who worked on Shadow of Mordor. So obviously like a great resume when it comes to like single player video games. I mean, the Shadow of Mordor series, impeccable. Some of the greatest games ever made for the Lord of the Rings series. Not as good as Return of the King. Not as good as Return of the King. But right up there. Definitely right up there. And outside of that, I mean, all we knew about this Black Panther video game was that it was going to be third person. It's going to be single player, and that it was from EA. But still, I think we were all hyped. And I think that the biggest part of this story for me is that you have to realize how bad things have to be in the world of gaming. How bad things have to be for EA. For you to look at the roster of games that you have coming out and be like, yeah, let's cancel the Black Panther video game. Because Black Panther as an IP is super strong. It is one of the biggest franchises in the entire Marvel universe. The movie came out in the MCU, broke incredible records. The second movie, even Chadwick wasn't in it, it still did really well. People love the world, people love that franchise, and a Black Panther video game is desperately needed. I mean, it would be so incredible. Like, now that the game is shut down, we are starting to see like artwork come out, and the artwork and the concepts that we're seeing for this game, it just looks super cool, and it just feels bad that we're not going to see this come to light. I mean, the closest we've gotten to a Black Panther video game was the Ubisoft Avengers DLC, right? They had that cool like Black Panther Wakanda story update, and the DLC was a good appetizer for Black Panther fans, but I think a lot of players, including myself, were looking forward to this EA Black Panther standalone video game and just being like, man, you could really do something special here. I think even if you emulated like the Arkham series and did something there, there's so much potential with the Black Panther, and it's just a bummer that EA's like, I'm sorry, this is the one we're cutting. Now, unfortunately, this is not great news for Marvel fans. It's not good news for Black Panther fans. It's not good news for video game fans. But there are some glimmers of hope in this story. Number one, EA is not giving up on Marvel video games. In fact, the Iron Man video game is still in production. And according to everything that EA is saying actively, is they are still committed to making 3 Marvel video games, but the Black Panther is just eliminated, which means there's 2 more coming. So we got an Iron Man video game coming, which could be cool, right? Imagine like an Anthem video game, but it's like Iron Man. That could be super dope. But then the other 2 games, I mean, we got to assume, like, let's pick real quick. Maybe X-Men? An EA X-Men game would be incredible. I'm trying to think what else would be super cool. We already got an Avengers game. We have a Captain America game coming. Hulk? No, I didn't EA already make a Hulk game? I don't know. Put in the comment section what you think that third game should be. I'm very interested. But the second glimmer of hope here is that if you want to play as Black Panther in a video game, there is still a glimmer of hope that we will see that happen, because Black Panther will be appearing in the upcoming Skydance's Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra video game, right? We saw additional footage from this game a couple months ago. Essentially, this is going to be taking place in 1943 in occupied Paris during World War II. Captain America and Black Panther, they don't really know each other. They've heard rumors, but they're like, yo, there's this terrorist organization called Hydra rising up. What are we going to do to stop them? We got to team up. But Captain's like, I don't trust you. You're from an exclusionist country that doesn't share your resources. And Black Panther's like, sure, calling the kettle black there, because that sounds a whole lot like America. You're exclusionary. You don't want to get involved in World War II. Let's do this. Let's fight. And so they battle. They get in this little tiff. But then they realize, oh my goodness, we both want the same thing. We want to take out Hydra. And that is what we're getting from this video game. And as cool as that sounds, right? That story probably not going to happen. That's probably my story from the game. But the game is also being made by the fantastic Amy Hennig, who, if you're not aware, worked on PlayStation's Uncharted. And again, I'm a Naughty Dog stan. I am an Uncharted, Last of Us stan. Anyone who worked on those series is going to pass for life for me. And the fact that Amy Hennig is working on a Black Panther Captain America video game, I'm very, very excited for that game. Now, EA also did reveal some news about other games that are coming out, and they said that moving forward, EA will be focusing on games like The Sims, Battlefield, Skate, Apex Legends, Iron Man, Star Wars Jedi Part 3, and a couple more. And look, I'm going to pause for a second because I think I speak on behalf of the entire internet here. EA, don't you dare mess up Jedi Part 3, okay? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, some of the best Star Wars video games of this generation. In fact, if you look at the entire Star Wars ecosystem of video games, those two games, probably top 10 Star Wars video games. And we're going into part 3, which is going to be the finale. It's going to be the conclusion. We're going to tie it all up. It's going to be the end of Cal Kestis and the end of BD1. Please do not ruin that game. Do not ruin that series. Continue it, because those games are absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because, again, I'm sure internally EA is not wanting to cancel a Black Panther game. Like, anyone in their right mind's like, yeah, if we put a Black Panther game out, it's gonna sell like crazy. Why would we not do that? But it is kind of interesting to see that the industry is in such a place that EA is like, yeah, we can't, not even we can make money off of Black Panther video games, so we're gonna call it quits. But anyway, sound off in the comment section where you land on this one. I'm interested to know, were you looking forward to the game? What did you think the game was going to be? And don't forget, what do you think is going to be that third or second Marvel game that EA is going to come out with? I'm very, very interested to hear that. So moving on from the world of EA and Black Panther, let's jump into CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, the sequel, because we just got our first details about the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. This goes to Games Radar. Shout out to them, because CD Projekt Red's co-CEO Mikkel Nakowski, definitely not how you pronounce his name, CD Projekt Red's co-CEO was asked during an earnings call about Cyberpunk 2, which is very ballsy, right? The studio is very focused in on The Witcher, right? Witcher 4 is coming out. CD Projekt Red also is trying to keep Cyberpunk alive with Cyberpunk 2077 updates and making sure that that is the game that belongs at launch. And so it's kind of interesting that they're like, hey, yes, Witcher 4 is coming. It's going to be awesome. We're really excited about that. But what do you got about Cyberpunk 2? It's funny that the world of gaming is like, okay, that's cool, but what about not even focused on the present? Always what's coming next. But hey, it's job security, because at the end of the day, for the next couple years, we get to stand here and be like, this just in, Cyberpunk 2077, the sequel. We've got brand new news about Cyberpunk 2. Let's talk about it here. So who am I to complain? But anyway, the co-CEO of CD Projekt Red, Mikkel Nowakowski, Mike Mikkel. Let's just try that again, shall we? The CD Projekt Red co-CEO, Mikkel. Wow. I've clearly got some cobwebs right now. I've got to brush these off. CD Projekt Red's co-CEO, Mikkel Nowakowski, was asked during the latest earnings call about Cyberpunk 2, and Nowakowski confirmed that the game has entered pre-production, and based off their internal process, they expect that to take 4 to 5 years on average for the game to hit its release date, which 4 to 5 years sounds like a long time away. But based off of how Cyberpunk 2077, the first game, went, let me just say, go ahead and add a couple 3 years on there, right? Let's not rush this game. Let's not rush the release. Let's make sure that this game is better than the first one. There's no need to rush this out the gate. Please, for the love of God, I don't know if Cyberpunk as a franchise can deal with another launch like the first one. So Cyberpunk 2, obviously they're saying 4 to 5 years. I would say be comfortable with 5 to 7 because in no way is this game being rushed by the studio. But no, that is pretty much all we know, right? There's been bits and pieces that have come out. As far as like a setting, we have like a preliminary idea. We do know that the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel will still feature Night City, and that will still be part of the game. But it's also going to be having another city that's inspired by Chicago gone wrong. Like Night City is obviously like this beautiful cyberpunk city, but it's like, okay, what if Chicago just completely went the opposite directions? In fact, Mike Pondsmith, the creator of the cyberpunk, cinematic universe, a gaming universe, if you will, he directly confirmed during the Digital Dragons 2025 event that the game will be taking place in like having an area like that's like a Chicago gone wrong. So I do think that's cool because like Chicago gone wrong, immediately I think like Chicago mobsters. What if the mobsters just completely ruin the city, set it on fire, it's all burnt down, and it's trying to get a lot of cool potential there. CD Projekt Red has also had multiple job listings for this video game for the next Cyberpunk game. Of note, they basically said that they are looking for individuals who are willing to create the most realistic and reactive crowd system, which, holy hell, right? And I think that's important to say. They are striving to have the most realistic and reactive crowd system. Let's just break these down for open world games. Grand Theft Auto 5, right now, I think has peak crowd system. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 did a fantastic job that when you're walking down the street, people interact with you. One of my favorite things to do in that game was to walk up to someone and I'd be holding a grenade in my hand, and if they were nice to me, I'd let them pass. But if they said something rude, I would drop the grenade and we would all run and see who could get away from the grenade the fastest. But that game had a really good crowd system. It felt realistic for the time, but it's also worth noting that game came out on the PlayStation 3. Right? We are now on the PlayStation 5. At the time Cyberpunk 2 comes out, we will probably be in the PlayStation 6. So what that means as far as like realistic and reactive crowd systems, I have no idea. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year. I think that'll be the next chance for us to see like what an open world environment looks like on a next gen console. And I'm really intrigued by how Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red want to push the boundaries to be like, we want it to be better than GTA 6. We want it to be better than GTA 5. We want it to be better than Red Dead 2, which is not asking a lot because while, yes, that game did have open world, at times it felt very void and definitely needed some work there. But again, very interesting kind of focus there because it clearly seems like they're swinging for the fences, which again makes me feel like saying 4 to 5 years. Please don't say that. Do not say that at all. Do not tell me when this game is coming out until I'm ready to play this game, because the one issue Cyberpunk 2077 had was we were all ready for the game. The game's coming out in 2 weeks. Boom, yellow social media post that was saying it's being delayed. Another one saying it's delayed. It became a meme at that point. So them saying 4 to 5 years, I definitely don't believe it. I definitely don't think we're going to see it in 4 to 5 years. I would say if we're lucky, 10 years. But as I said in the intro, that means this show, we get to carry on for another 10 years and talk about video games for another 10 years, talking until Cyberpunk 2 comes out. And then when Cyberpunk 2 comes out, you heard it here, folks. We are done. Once Cyberpunk 2 comes, we will this show will come to an end, and we will no longer be doing episodes of the Nerf Report. So let's just go ahead and sign the contracts and be here for that. Now, moving on from the world of Cyberpunk 2077, and whenever you will see the sequel to that game, let's talk about a brand new game that is coming out in a couple weeks called Mind's Eye, which dropped a brand new trailer, and it received a lot of negativity. And this trailer, let's go ahead and pull this up, because I think it looks absolutely cool. Like, it's an open world video game. Again, this is releasing next month, but it looks very intriguing. I think the gameplay looks really cool. The storytelling looks super deep, and the gameplay looks kind of fun. Like, it looks like everything we've expected from an open world third person video game. Plus, this game is only $59.99. In the world of like $100 video games, I think that like for a $60 video game, yeah, I'll definitely check this one out. But it's interesting because Mind's Eye, basically this video game that we're seeing right here, is being developed by IO Interactive and developer Build a Rocket Boy. You'll play as Jacob as he fights to uncover his truth in a world where AI, high-tech experiments, and unchecked military power shapes every encounter. And what starts as a personal quest quickly becomes a mission critical to all of humanity's survival as sentient robots rise, propelled by human Greed. Which again, sounds like a really cool story. The gameplay looks really cool. Definitely worth checking out. And another big W here is that Mind's Eye's game director is a former Rockstar employee. In fact, it's the former creator of Grand Theft Auto, Leslie Benzies. So obviously you got a lot of prestige behind this game. And the gameplay, again, from this trailer looks really dope, but there is a lot of negativity surrounding this game. Some of the comments here are this looks like the game that people would be playing on a TV show, right? On a TV show, if you've ever seen, they can't play Rocket League. They have to play a vehicular soccer game because they don't want to pay the licensing out to Psyonix. They can't play Grand Theft Auto because they have to pay out the licensing. And this looks like a game that was made to be played in a movie, not to be played in real life. And the negative comments here have gotten so intense that people are like, this looks like a fake game. This looks like a mobile game ad that doesn't exist. And it's gotten to the point where the game's co-CEO, Mark Gerhardis, basically came out and he's saying that all of this negativity is being a part of concerted effort to trash the game by a studio not to be mentioned who is using spam bots and negative comments. Which when I heard this, at first I was like, Jesus, man. What a weird time in the world of gaming we live in. Because it's hard to determine what's real or what's not. The people who come in the comment section and they say things about our videos or they say things about the shorts, every time I read those, I'm like, is this a real person or is this not? That's not healthy. That's not a healthy mindset to be like, are these people real? Am I dealing with real people? Are real people upset with me? Or is this just someone who paid a bot and just had a bot go out to smear things? Because also, at random times, 2 a.m. in the morning here in the States, I'll get a comment and be like, Nintendo sucks. And I'm like, okay, that's a weird energy to be putting out at 2 a.m., but be happy. Is that person a bot or are they real? Because it is very easy to go out and buy bots to help promote this channel and to help spread this channel and get positive likes and get shares and views and comments. I can do all of that. But then on the flip side, you can also start negative campaigns on the internet to do dislike campaigns. And personally, I feel like we've already seen this happen because when we saw the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows, I 100% believed that all of the negativity we saw was a campaign built by bots. And whether those bots were sent out to basically dislike a video or to review bomb it or to put negative comments on the video, and then they basically took those bots to promote creators and content creators and other people out there that are saying similar negative things about the thing to make it feel like there's this entire army of people that are just pissed off at this video game. And then all that negativity builds up and the game came out and it was positive. Everybody was like, man, this game's actually really good. And it was just so bizarre. So to hear this CEO be like, yeah, there's a concerted effort to ruin this game, I'm like, okay, maybe that's a possibility. We saw it with Assassin's Creed Shadow. It's not hard to believe that we're seeing this now, but it's also interesting because we now live in a world where you can bend the reality to fit whatever narrative you want, right? I can look at someone saying your show sucks and be like, I agree. Or I can be like, that's a bot. That's a bot. Obviously, nobody thinks this show sucks. This is the greatest show of all time. You're fake news. I'm not fake news. And I can accuse any negativity or criticism as being a AI bot army coming against me and that those aren't real people. That's the weird twilight zone that we now live in. It's just is the internet even real? Are the comments real? In fact, if you're watching this and you're real, put #real in the comment section. That way I know it. And even then, I won't know what's real because Jimmy Johns could basically come in there and buy 20 bots on a website to comment on this video and put #real. And then I don't know who's real. So I'm making this video in my garage, feeling like a crazy person, talking about whether or not real people are watching this show. So yes, Mind's Eye, the co-creator, does have an argument. He does have the ability to prove that this is possible. Do I think Rockstar is doing that? No. I think Rockstar's got bigger problems and bigger concerns right now. I think they're more focused on launching their own game than to sink the potential of Mind's Eye. But, and again, when you look at the negative comments here, it's not it's unwarranted because the negative comments I was able to find about Mind's Eye was during the preview of when creators were brought in to check out the game. That preview was filled with bugs. Now, granted, bugs can be patched out, right? Day one patch takes care of all the bugs, but you would think you're bringing in all these creators to check out the game firsthand, and then it's buggy. You figure you'd work all that out before all the creators came. The game's story is only 15 hours long, which again, I am a fan of short games. I don't like spending 80 to 90 hours of my life. I'm a dad of 2 kids. I've got a wife. I've got a job. I've got a show here. Any game that I can beat in one sitting, I'm like, oh, thank God, I've achieved something in my life, and I don't have a backlog of like half-completed video games. Other creators have said that the driving in the game feels stiff, the combat feels fine, it doesn't feel great, and the enemy encounters feel like they lack depth. In fact, some previewers came out of that event, and they're like, oh, this game 100% is going to be delayed. It's not going to be delayed. So when you look at those negative comments, it's like, okay, well, that's not really like a negative ad campaign going against you, that people are saying this. If these are people who truly went to this preview event and they are criticizing your game, that's where as a creator, you have to look within and be like, okay, maybe I did something wrong. You know these are real people. You know they came to your game. You know they tried it out firsthand. And to say that like, oh, they're criticizing us, they're being paid by GTA or they're being paid by Rockstar, it's just it's a little wild of a theory to have there. But again, I think that what's interesting about Mind's Eye is, number one, the game looks cool, right? I definitely will check this one out when it launches. But the big selling factor is the community creation suite. The dev showed off in this trailer that they're going to be providing a bunch of resources similar to like Grand Theft Auto 5 Online and Roblox and Minecraft and even Crata back in the day, in hopes of having user-generated content being added to the game. So I feel like that at least addresses the concerns of like a 15-hour story, is that, well, this is kind of a metaverse video game where you can go in and build your own levels, you can build your own missions. And that, to me, if the community embraces it and you're able to build a community who's like putting in really cool content, yeah, that has a lot of potential there, because you got driving in the game, you got shooting, you got missions, and you got limitless possibilities of what people are going to create. Chances are people are going to be creating like a paintball game. You'll probably have like Floor is Lava, all the other ones that always come with these games when they launch. But again, I'm kind of split. You know, I understand people's criticisms when it comes to video games, but I also just, it's weird because I feel like we're in such a weird time in gaming where people are rewarded to be negative about a video game, right? Mind's Eye, it looks cool. It looks like it's a fun game. It's a creator who's coming from the world of Grand Theft Auto, coming out with their version of their own game that's futuristic. At one point, there was like a drone robot in the background that was like a drone hologram. It looks really cool. It looks like an awesome world to explore, but to say that, you get criticized because you're like, oh, how dare you? How much did they pay you? It's like, no one's paying me. I'm making $100 a month here on YouTube to produce this show. Nobody's paying me to say anything nice about video games. No one's paying me to say anything negative about video games. So it's weird that that's where everyone immediately goes to. It's just like, oh, if someone disagrees with me, they're being paid to be against me. It's like, well, nope, that's not happening, because you're not paying me to be positive about Mind's Eye. I think it's a cool concept, but at the same time, if you'd like to pay me, hey, I'll send you my Venmo and we'll get that taken care of. But that was a joke to anyone in the comment section who's like, I told you he could be bought out. He's not real. Yeah, whatever. You know, I don't know. There's definitely some rust on the show. This has been it was a good 2 weeks off, but coming into the studio this week, I feel a little rusty going into this. But anyway, Mind's Eye has a current release date of June 10th. The game looks super intriguing. I'm curious to see if the game gets delayed or if they add more polish or if they do release it. I, for one, will probably check it out when it launches. Sound off in the comment section down below your thoughts. Do you think the concerns are legitimate? Do you think that people are weaponizing the powers of social media to run negative ad campaigns against developers? Sound off down below. And if you'd like to do a positive ad campaign, help out the show. Share it with your grandma. Share it with your friends. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And obviously, thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel by being a Nerf Gaming News Plus member. It means the world to me that you feel like you can help us monetarily and make this show possible. That's it for this week's episode of the Nerf Report, my friends. We will be back next week. I still haven't decided if we're going to do a show or if we're going to just do the Summer Games Fest. I might do two. Might do the Summer Games Fest live stream and then do a show after that. It hasn't been decided, friends. I do the show by myself. I don't have a boss. I can make my own decisions. So we will see, but I will obviously update you on social media of what we're going to be deciding to do. So until next time, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your continued support. Keep on gaming, and we will see you in the next video.